Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Avatar: The Last Airbender Netflix Season 1. And I need to make that kind of differentiation because I am at some point going to do a look-at review of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Nickelodeon show. And mainly because I watched this and I'm like, what the hell? And it's been a while since I've seen that series, and that's like 3 seasons, but it's like 61 episodes. So, I'll plot that out. This confused me. A lot of people were comparing this as an in-between of the One Piece adaptation and Cowboy Bebop. And after watching it, I kind of agree, because it's not the most horrendous thing. Granted, I haven't watched the M. Night Shyamalan one in a while, but this isn't as bad as that, and not for like those reasons. The biggest kind of issue that I had, well, there's a couple issues, but one of the big kind of glaring ones is the CGI use for the bending. It's not as easy for them to be able to do it as kind of like a One Piece one, where they're able to strategically utilize certain kind of things and utilize Luffy's kind of gum powers in a limited kind of way. This is interlaying elemental forces on top of kung fu moves, and it almost made me like, yeah, that's better and easier to be accomplished, at least at this point, in animation than it is with live action, because it just led to some weird looking CGI that didn't look good to me, and they mainly seem to have banked up more of their money towards the end with the whole invasion of the Northern Water Tribe, which you kind of need it for everything kind of going nutty doo-dah there. I was like, okay, and that's the thing. The first season of the show is 20 episodes, granted, 20 30-minute episodes. This is 8 episodes, and it just... A thing is, I understand that you have to pick and choose your episode lengths and everything, but don't stick to just like certain smaller kind of ones and then just try and jam the story into it. Take the time you need for it, because we don't really spend as much time with Katara, Asaka, and Aang in this series as we do in the other ones. And it is also really kind of weird that Sokka's actor looks like the offspring of Sam Winchester from Supernatural. It's kind of like, what the fuck? And I'm always just like, God damn it, aren't you gonna, like... Nothing on his part that was, like, bad or anything. And I don't really fault any of the younger actors for anything. They could only do so much with the content that they're given. And the biggest kind of issue is the content that a lot of these actors are given very much comes off as written as, hello, fellow kids, i.e., it's an older person who has decided to write what they think a younger person sounds like. Rather than writing a character who is 12 years old, they write how they think a 12-year-old or a teen talks. Ergo, you get Aang saying some kind of weird stuff. It really makes me think back to, like, Phantom Menace with young Anakin, and I'm like, the biggest kind of issue, I think, with that was that they are trying to write how they think kid Anakin would be like, rather than, like, here's Anakin. He's a 9-year-old kid who's been a slave. Write how he would talk. You know what I mean? That's a hard thing to accomplish. I get that. But here, Aang does some weird... It's lines that just felt off. Sokka and Katara get the same kind of thing as well. And the thing is, the actors can only really do so much. Zuko... They fell into the trap of angsty fucking teen. They do kind of explain why he is angsty and up his own ass with everything that went on with his father, but that doesn't help in the actual moment of him going angsty teen mode. That's like, oh God, come on. Like, there's a difference between, oh God, I'm wearing black and the world sucks. Yee. Where it's just that stereotypical blah blah blah, I'm a teen, nobody understands me. There are teens that act like that, sure. But when you're doing these kinds of things, you want them to feel like a character, not a walking stereotype regurgitating that kind of shit. And the thing is, that happens more than I like in this show. However, it is not what happens all of the time, which still saves it. You get good stuff with Aang, Katara, and Sokka, and Zuko. Iroh really does a good job. Iroh and Zhao. Holy fucking shit. The actor they got for Zhao, he was in the fucking Expanse, okay? And he hams shit up. He has fun chewing scenes and shit and just doing the fucking hell-ass shit he wants. Just being, I'm a giant dick, man. I'm gonna win this shit, bitch. Yeah. That's his kind of vibe. Also, in a departure from the first season of the animated show, we get Fire Lord Ozai. I didn't think I'd have a tongue-twisting moment of that. Fire Lord Ozai off the bat, who is played by the dude who voices Johnny Gat in Saints Row, which was kind of strange. He does the usual kind of job. That's fine. But they didn't really do much with him other than showcasing him being like a megalomaniac asshole. Which, that's pretty much how he is. There's no kind of departure from the show, though. Mark Hamill doing the voice of Fire Lord Ozai in the show, the animated show, man, that's hard, man. Azula, she's good. Her friends are pretty much pushed to the background and do barely anything, which kind of sucks. Boomy does his good craziness. Appa's pretty well done with the CGI, so is Momo. Aang doesn't really learn any waterbending in this, which is fucking weird. So I don't know how this is going to go for them to, like, go forward, because he at least has some waterbending skills at the end of Season 1, then he goes for Earth and then Fire to then kind of round out the series. Again, they had 8 episodes, so they decided to condense and pretty much just, like, gloss over certain kind of stuff. It's really kind of strange. We do get the spirit world. We get some changes up of who he interacts with his past Avatar lives. Kyoshi, Roku, the one Water Tribe one, who I'm blanking on right now. UA is done decently as well. Like, there's not, like... As you can tell when I do my reviews, I've kind of moved from, wow, this is kind of bad acting, to, okay, is it the acting that I have a problem with, or is it the content? And then I close my eyes and I'm like, okay, what's the content kind of going on here? And it's like, there's not much certain ones can be done. Avatar Kuruk. Yeah. So we pretty much get the whole kind of spiel. Of course, Zuko is hunting the Avatar because Fire Lord Ozai pretty much gave him an impossible task to kind of push Azula as well, and just he's got schemes inside of schemes. Of course, towards the end, we also see that he's awaiting Sozin's comet, which, if you've seen the show, you'll learn how that is an important kind of bit. We see more of the Fire Nation initiating their plans and starting of the war in the beginning, going after the Avatar to take that out and be the ones on top with everything. It's like, it's not good. And we see Aang, of course, frozen, getting out, and then that mainly takes up the first couple ones, and then pretty much running and trying to figure out and trying to be the Avatar. But since we don't have any of the, how would I say, kind of filler episodes, because it's kind of wrong to call them filler, character-driven kind of episodes. Well, if the episode really accomplishes nothing either character development-wise or whatnot, it's filler and it's just spinning wheels. However, in certain kind of shows, you will have your overarching season arc story that you'll kind of get, and then you'll get certain episodes that delve into the characters but don't really advance the plot that much, which you still need. We don't really get as much in-depth for Aang, Sokka, and Katara, and Zuko, and Iroh, and it all has to be kind of like rushed a little bit. We get into Iroh's whole bit with his son and his kind of fatherly connection with Zuko, which is well executed. I just think is paced a little bit fast for what we're doing and what's going on. We get that kind of backstory. We get Zuko's backstory of the Agni Kai. Is that what it is? Where he pretty much said that this plan was terrible because it was just going to sacrifice people for no fucking reason. And then, of course, getting banished by his father and everything like that. It's just, again, a lot of, especially within the TV show front, not everything needs to be 22 episodes. Alright, I'm not calling for that. I just want each story to be given the length of time that it needs to adequately tell its story. In certain kind of instances, the 22 episodes works for shows. In other instances, shorter ones work for shows. Just because a popular show does 22 episodes or 10 episodes or 8 episodes doesn't mean your story needs to do that. This needed more episodes, maybe not a lot more, to adequately flesh out and maybe even streamline what's kind of going on further. Because there can be stuff like that. That's fine to go on. But you don't really get the kind of understanding of, like, the Cabbage Cart dude. It's just in there as pretty much a fan service kind of thing. It's just like, alright, you need to let breathe and marinate certain kind of stuff. And even with an adaptation, that's fine. But when you do that kind of adaptation, learn what you need to cut and streamline and flow it a little bit better. This didn't work out as well as I would have liked on that front, but it doesn't completely fail on that front. This was a confusing one. Like, it gets the jacket, but not completely, like, thumbs down, because there were moments I saw where I'm like, wow, okay, that's the kind of Sokka, Katara, Aang, Zuko, Iroh that I saw from the animated show. But most of the time I'm just like, alright, this is doing its thing here. Hopefully they also do a little bit more with the spirit world because of, like, the connection and everything that's going on, and I hope they don't drop that too much because that's important and they're laying kind of seeds and everything. We'll see if this gets another season and how that kind of goes. Toph's going to be a interesting one for them to kind of do, but again, we're going from seasons of 20-30-minute episodes, which if you jam together, you'd be able to call them just like 10 episode 1 hour ones, to 8, and that kind of cut you have to work it. You have to understand what to cut, how to cut, and how to reflow it together. Game of Thrones in the earlier seasons understood what it was trying to do with its adaptations. There were the thing is it had such a breadth of material that it could draw from, that it could pick and choose what it needed to do, cut it to certain extents, reconfigure certain characters, and then reflow them in, even writing in different kind of scenes of what was going on. However, once you start running out of that runway, we understand what happens with Game of Thrones. However, this is a finished work. I don't know how this is going to go for it. I don't know how the kind of reception is for it. I don't hate this, and I don't think that the actors did a good. I don't think the actors did a horrible job. It's more down to what the directors and the writers were trying to go for, and how the execution kind of went on to it. It didn't exactly work for me, but I don't think this is a horrible kind of thing to kind of go for. Now, would I recommend people to watch this? If you're into Avatar, it's a better kind of watch than the M. Night Shyamalan one, but to be fair, it would be better to just recommend that you watch the actual series because it's already there. So it's that kind of weird kind of space. It's if you're into it or you're not into it, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not quite sure, watching an episode or two, it's actually kind of a big ass because that's a fourth of the way through it already. And then you're like, I've already watched it, so I might as well watch it again. I don't like to kind of go on that kind of anime rule where, oh, you gotta watch 3 episodes to really kind of get into it. If anything, you can just watch the first episode and then you've pretty much got an idea of how it's kind of going. Which you normally can't really say. Normally that's the pilot and there's always the fuckity-doo-dah fuckity-day and you can't really judge one by a pilot. However, how streaming has done shows, sometimes you can do that, sometimes you can't. It's not a hard, fast kind of rule. And just with this one, for this kind of example, if you watch the first one and you're not really into it, then I would pretty much recommend you to be like, go off and do something else. If you need something on in the background, it would definitely be a good kind of thing, because then you can just be like, what the fuck's kind of going on? And then you're like, alright, I got noise in the background. See, the thing is, I don't really recommend it for action because the CGI makes it kind of really weird and makes it kind of funky. The action's not horrendous, but you're just like, sometimes something's going to happen and it's going to be like kind of backpull you a little bit. Character-wise, yeah, the characters in the story's good and decent. I mean, that it's got a great base. It's a really good show. They execute it kind of funny, but not to a place where it goes completely balls-ass, fuck-nutty done. So, alright, yeah, you could go for those. And the plot is definitely kind of still pretty much close to what was going on in the show. So, yeah, you'd be good with that if you're, like, into the plot and story that much. So, I know this is a weird one. This is not one that I can just cut and dry and be like, fucking watch this, you're gonna have a blast. Or, please, dear God, avoid this. You will be like, I have wasted my time. I will never get it back. This is one where it's like, your mileage will vary. Watch the trailers, maybe taste an episode or whatnot, and then kind of go from there. It's a really hard one to really have that kind of way or another. I mean, I kind of see what would go on, but I'm like, I'd rather watch the original. So those are my opinions on the season. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.